Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Rider Zero Spike back again once again, and today we're here for Kamen Rider Geats episode 29. Yeah. And today we got, man, it's a lot. A big reveal got to us in this episode, and I am flabbergasted. And also I kinda hate I kind of hate Battle Bus some more. This you complete, excuse my language, complete bitch move. Like, holy crap, this was not fun. This was not funny at all. Like, she really wants people to freaking be in misery and despair. But in this episode, a new game has started. But we see Archimetal doing an archaeological dig, and he seems to have dug up a ancient Jamato, basically an ancient or very powerful Jamato that's been cooking up in this, basically cooking up in the ground. And we see that he does unleash it. And in this episode, we get the reveal of that Jamato, which is a very fierce looking Jamato who carries a giant buster sword and all that. But in this episode, a new game has basically begun, and in this game, which is going to be a 3v3 match, which is basically 3v3, but it's going to be 1v1s. Basically, we see that Buffa has come up with his own game where each of him and the other two Jamato will be going 1v1s with Ace, Neon, and Kawa, and they'll know that they'll know that they're getting ready to get into this battle by they'll see a random Jamato waving a red flag, and he's basically gonna call it the bullfighting tournament. So, and now we see that Kawa does make a bull joke in this episode too. So we see that Ace and Kawa are in this store talking with each other. We find out in this episode that it is Neon's birthday, and she's basically celebrating her birthday, but her birthday is also the celebration of when she got kidnapped 11 years ago. And we get more backstory on that kidnapping and other things like that later on in the episode. But we see that she's happy that it's her birthday, but she's also kind of not happy because it reminds her of a very traumatizing time. So we see that Kawa and Ace are in this store together. They're talking about Neon's birthday and things like that. And we see that Kawa says that, hey, I can't believe that you actually remember you remember your past lives and stuff. And Ace is like, well, you seem pretty, calm about it. And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, you're still you, aren't you? And he's like, okay, cool. So we end up seeing a Jamato ends up, attacking the city, and it turns out it's the Jamato with the red flag. We see that Kawa and Ace go after him, but as soon as they are running, they basically run into like this underground pathway all the way into like this arena this big open space room. We see that Kawa can go in, but Ace cannot, and we see that's when the game actually starts. And then that's when Betaba explains the rules, and we see that Kawa has to 1v1 one of the Jamato whose name was Rook. So it's basically the Jamato that can shoot like the spores and stuff like that. So he's 1v1 in this freaking Jamato, and he's somewhat winning. But we see that Kawa ends up getting attacked by another outside source in the room with him. But you see that these attacks are coming out of the floor and out the wall like water. But we said that everybody else is also watching this fight, and we see that they are kind of somewhat cheating, but Buffa did not know that she was going to Betaba basically arranged this thing for Archimetal. Turns out this Jamato that he pulled out of the ground, that he raised up out of the ground, is the reason why Kawa is being attacked. So they're basically cheating. Of course they're cheating. So we see that everybody's watching this, and while they're watching this, we see that Kawa does end up losing in this fight because of that other Jamato in the ground. And after he ends up getting defeated, he ends up getting put in a holding cell. But also while this is happening, they did remind us that, oh, hey, their audience people are watching this. They're watching the JGP, and all these people are watching essentially. And everybody also knows that it is Betaba does announce to all the audience members that, hey, it's Neon's birthday. But we'll get into that later. So That's when we see that Neon and Ace, they're kind of like bummed out that Kawa ended up losing this fight, which is, I really feel like Kawa shouldn't have lost this fight because you have the jet buckle, like you have the buckle that allows you to fly. So maybe if you use that, I mean, you have it, but he ended up, but we just go back to using ninja, but he has this buckle. Why didn't you just start off with that? Why don't you just, you could have started off with ninja and then end up using that buckle, as well as seeing how you were getting attacked from the ground and on the walls. You could just fly around, dude, and you got a whole sword. I mean, yeah, you probably would have to charge the sword up a little bit, but at the same time, you still had a big, powerful buckle to use in your back pocket, and you didn't use it. Like I'm not cool with that. Like Kawa should not have lost that fight. But, but like sometimes the good characters got to go through some BS too, huh? So after this, we end up seeing that Neon is kind of, trying to get ready for her fight, and her next fight will start in 3 hours. So everybody's kind of getting their bearings and things like that. We end up seeing that Neon she's sitting by herself, and she ends up talking to Kyun. Kyun actually comes up to her. He has like a present for her, and he's getting ready to give it to her, but she's like, hey, like, he's like, hey, I always run into you and things like that, and he's like, yeah, I always end up running into you even though I don't like you. And she ends up turning around. She ends up telling him that, oh yeah, probably because you're my supporter, Kyun, right? And he's like, what? How the frick did you know that? She was like, yep, I knew it. And she's like, they end up going back to the supporter room, and turns out he was getting ready to give her the boost buckle, which I'm just saying here, like, if you had gave that to her and also not revealing yourself as Kyun, she eventually would have found out you were her supporter anyway, because you gave her a present with a boost buckle in it. Come on. So they end up going back to the supporter room, and she ends up telling him, she's like, why are you so sweet to me? Why are you so sweet and nice to me in these letters, but you're always so salty? You're always so salty to me when you actually meet me in real life. So which one is the real you? Like, which one is the real you? Who are you really? And then he's like, well, obviously I'm not the sweet one. I'm not the sweet one in person, which is like, I'm like, yep, welcome to the internet. So she storms off, and she's like, you're the worst. And then Kyun is like trying to figure out, who the freak am I, because he doesn't understand why am I so mean to her in person, but when I'm talking to her and sending her letters, I'm so nice to her. I don't know. So he's talking to her, like, he's looking at a bouquet of flowers, and turns out he ends up meeting with her dad. Her dad is also at this flower shop buying a bouquet of flowers. So they go back to this restaurant together, and they talk to each other, and he basically says that he appreciates Kyun for looking after his, like, taking care of his daughter. Please look after her, things like that. And Kyun is like, he's like, I guess you're not a bad parent, I guess. And he's like, yeah, well, my wife is a little, he's like, I don't want to control my daughter, but my wife is a little old fashioned. She wants to marry our daughter off for business purposes. And he's like, nah, I don't want to marry her off for business purposes. I want to marry her off to someone from the future, so I can, increase the Kurama Foundation. Basically the Kurama Foundation. I can, get real business stuff going on and make real good business, decisions, make good business decisions that way, and then where I can further, I can make my business really good. But I don't want to control her, but I do want her to find actual genuine love that she actually wants. And Hyun was like, okay, well, are those bouquet of flowers for her? And he's like, he looks down at me, he's like, yeah, they are. So we go back to Ace, and we see that Ace is also talking with Neon. But we get a scene where KY is in this holding cell, and they're basically he's talking to Daichi, Betaba, and all of them. And that's when we get the reveal of the actual Yamato that was attacking him, which was this big water type looking Yamato, and has this big huge buster sword. He looks pretty freaking fierce, but I feel like this guy is gonna get sidelined eventually. I hope this Yamato kind of lasts a while, because then they kind of with the current people now, they kind of need another Jamato, since, you know, Plant Toro is dead. But yeah, they get a reveal of that, and we see that Kay was like, why are you guys like, they said all this is really your plan to basically get to ruin Neon's life, and also like find a way to actually defeat Ace by using this Jamato. So we see Neon talking with Ace, and he's, you know, he tells her everything, but we also see we did see Ace talk to her dad, and she goes back to the original building that she was actually kidnapped in. We get some flashbacks to that actual moment, her getting saved and stuff like that. And then she says that my parents paid the kidnappers the ransom to get me out of there and things like that. We get the whole flashback of her getting rescued, being taken back home, celebrating her birthday, but she's still like a little traumatized every time her birthday comes up, and her dad, and that's when we see why her mom is so super overprotective of her. But there's also another underlying reason behind that, why her mother is so so super overprotective of her and doesn't want her leaving the house and all these other things. So that's why, you know, that's why she's so very overprotective. So we get back to, and Ace is talking with her dad, and he says that why are those flowers going here? Shouldn't those flowers be actually going to the to actually Neon? And he's like, yeah, pretend you didn't see me, you know, stuff like that. Like none of this stuff is going, none of this has anything to do with you. And if you keep meddling in what I'm going to and what I'm doing, then I'll use my sponsor privileges to have your driver confiscated and stuff like that. And I was like, dang, you got that kind of power? You got that kind of power, my boy? So, you know, Ace is like, you know, I don't have no interest in dealing with other people's family affairs and things like that. So then we'll get back to when Ace is talking to Neon, and Neon gives him the whole story of, like, you know, she was kidnapped, all the other stuff. And that's when we see the red flag waving Jamato, which still looks pretty stupid to me. But that's when Neon goes off, and she's getting ready to go into her fight. But Ace basically ends up switching with her, and he ends up going in, and then that's when Betaba and you know, Buffer and all of them are like, oh man, Ace is here. Betaba is not happy about this because Betaba wanted a Neon to go in as she was supposed to, so she can reveal like this great scoop that she has all on Neon and stuff like that, and her plan ends up getting ruined. But we see Ace is fighting this Jamato, and we see that Keiwa's ninja buckle was left behind, and we get the return of Ninja Magnum. I was about to say Ninja Magma, but Ninja Magnum. Ace is out here doing all these awesome kicks and stuff like that, fighting off this Jamato, and he ends up transforming into Boost Mark II, the regular Boost Mark II, which I actually do like. I like how he just didn't go straight into Laser Boost, but he's gone into this form, he actually notices the water and stuff like that on the ground, and that's when he is able to reveal the other Jamato. He's fighting the other Jamato, and then that's when Betaba makes the grand announcement of, you know, who Neon actually is. And turns out they do it for like she reveals it, and Ace gets pissed, but she doesn't say it herself actually. Well, she does, but she doesn't say it herself actually, but all you hear is her laughing, and all you hear the reactions of everybody, and you see that they just use her laugh as a way to tell like the story and whatever. So Ace gets pissed, transforms into turns into Laser Boost, and starts beating the ever living crap out of this Jamato. Like, he is just straight up ruthless, the Spore Jamato. And yeah, he ends up making the other Jamato run, but he starts beating the crap out of this other Jamato. Then we see Neon, while he's beating the crap out of this Jamato, Neon she gets summoned to her supporter room, and she has a bunch of presents and all this other stuff. She has a cake and everything. And then all these voices from the audience members and stuff like that are being told about, talking to her, telling her happy birthday and all this stuff. Then out of nowhere, one of them says something really mean to her, and they start saying a bunch of mean things to her, like, oh, you're not a real person, you know, you're a liar, you're a traitor, you don't deserve to be a Kamen Rider, you don't have the right to be a Kamen Rider, all that stuff, a wish should be wasted on you, a whole bunch of mean ish. So she's like, why? And why are you all saying this to me? And then we get the reveal. What Better But actually said was actually the real story. Her name was actually Akari. Her real name is actually Akari. Akari also was the girl who got kidnapped, but Akari was killed. Akari was killed by the kidnappers, and her dad didn't get there in time, and she actually was taken back, and Akari was actually killed. So it turns out Niram basically approached Neon's dad, and told him like, oh yeah, we can grant wishes and all that stuff like that. But her dad, my headcanon is her dad essentially didn't believe that. And now that his daughter died, he ends up going to Niram, and he asks Niram to grant him the wish of giving me a daughter. So basically Niram said, we'll grant your wish, but you have to become a sponsor for the DGP now until we leave your timeline. And he's like, all right, I'll do it, but you better make it happen. He's like, we will. So he basically makes the wish, and the goddess of creation creates Neon and puts all these false memories into her head, making her think that she got kidnapped but also was saved. But in actuality, her real name is Akari, but Akari was killed. And that's what Better But basically reveals to the entire audience, and that's why the audience is telling a bunch of mean stuff to her. And yeah, the episode basically ends off right there with Geats still beating the crap out of these other getting ready to kick the absolute duck out of this freaking Jamato. And the next episode we will see Neon team up with Kiyun in her battle. Yeah, episode ends off right there, but man, this was a giant reveal, showing that another writer is actually connected some way to the DGP, and actually is created because of the DGP, and isn't really a real person. She's just a construct of the goddess of creation. And I do like this story arc. It's a big reveal like that, and I wonder how Neon is going to be able to actually handle all this. And Geats is pissed, because Geats is pissed off that Better But revealed all that to the entire multiverse, I guess, or multi-timeline, I guess, multi-dimensional timeline, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I was just taken aback by this, showing how she's connected, and how Ace is also connected to the DGP potentially. But where does Kawa fit in all of this? I hope Kawa is also somehow connected to the DGP because of how his parents were. But I hope Kawa is not just background, just a random guy that got put in it. I really hope he's connected to the DGP in some form or fashion. Maybe Kikera will tell him some way. But other than that, man, this was a great episode. Awesome thumbnail material as well. But man, I can't wait to see how they're going to resolve this. And it's actually a pretty big reveal in this episode. So you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think of this episode of Kamen Rider Geats. Yeah, make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and remember, I always say, stay henchioned.